I had just finished being intimate with my wife. She nestled in my arms, utterly satisfied. "Oh right, honey, our company just got a new intern assistant," she said. "He's kind of dumb, but pretty amusing. He even asked if he could be my male bestie in private. Don't you think that's funny?" The hand that had been stroking her long hair paused for a moment. "Oh, is that so? What did you say to him?" I asked. My wife pouted slightly. "Of course I told him I'd see how he performs. How could I agree so easily?" "Right, honey." My expression darkened instantly. No wonder she'd been buying clothes so frequently lately, the colors getting brighter and brighter. The time she spent on makeup had clearly doubled. "So it's just being a male bestie. Ah. Fine. I can't accept a male bestie, but does his gender really have to stay the same?" Chapter 1. It was 8 in the evening. I sat on the sofa, head down, reading contract documents. With a click, the front door opened. My wife walked in wearing a red dress and high heels. She was tall and graceful, and beneath the short skirt were long, fair, delicate legs. Back in college, she had been the universally acknowledged campus belle. I never expected that after 3 years of marriage, her beauty wouldn't fade. Instead, it had become even more captivating. Watching her walk toward me, I felt a bit dazed. Recently, I had clearly noticed the changes in her. She bought clothes more and more often, and spent longer and longer on makeup. "Honey, I'm back," she said. My wife, Penelope Gonzalez, looked at me spacing out. She quickened her steps and threw herself into my arms. "Honey, what are you thinking about? Did you miss me?" I put down the documents in my hand and gently hugged her back. A faint jasmine scent drifted from her hair. It was a new perfume she had recently switched to. "What's going on? Has work been especially busy lately? You're home so late?" I asked softly, stroking her hair. "Have you eaten?" She rubbed against me affectionately. "I ate at the office, honey. A new batch of college interns just joined the company. You know, our manager hasn't been in the position for long." I wasn't at ease, so I stayed nearby to observe. She suddenly lifted her face, her big eyes blinking brightly. "Honey, look, this is the new dress I bought yesterday. Does it look good?" She stood up from my arms and spun around twice in front of me. The hem of the red short dress fluttered, making her fair skin stand out even more. I smiled and nodded. "It looks great." She suddenly leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. Then, "Honey, I'm going to take a shower first. Wait for me." Chapter 2. After she left, I expressionlessly took out my phone and called the newly appointed manager at her company. I asked about the specifics. This manager Wang was someone I had personally supported and deliberately sent to the Gonzalez Group, one of my trusted confidants. Manager Wang confirmed my wife's account, and recently, my wife hadn't done anything out of line. Still, I felt a vague uneasiness and told him to keep an eye on Penelope's every move. If there was any abnormality at all, he was to report directly to me. Sure enough, less than 3 days later, Manager Wang told me something. There was an intern named Emmanuel who frequently bypassed him and reported work directly to Gonzalez, multiple times. That evening, I had just finished being intimate with my wife. Her cheeks were flushed as she lay contentedly in my arms. "Oh right, honey, I told you before that a new batch of interns joined our company," she said. "There's one of them I'm planning to make my assistant. He's quick-thinking and fairly humorous. Today he even asked if, in private, he could be my bestie. Don't you think that's funny?" The hand that had been stroking her long hair stiffened instantly. "Oh, is that so? Then what did you say?" I asked. My wife pouted and looked at me. Of course I told him I'd see how he performs next. How could I agree so easily? "Right, honey." My expression darkened immediately. Seeing that I didn't respond, her eyes widened slightly. "Honey, you're not jealous, are you?" She giggled foolishly and acted spoiled in my arms. "Oh come on, honey, don't overthink it. I just felt he came from a small town and was kind of pitiful, and his abilities aren't bad, so I wanted to take a little extra care of him. You know me better than anyone. From college until now, have I ever even glanced at another man?" That part, at least, was true. Since college, she had rejected countless admirers for my sake and stayed by my side alone. The two of us were inseparable. After graduation, my family had looked down on the Gonzalez family and originally planned to arrange a political marriage for me, but I insisted on marrying Penelope Gonzalez. My parents couldn't sway me and eventually agreed. In the 3 years after marriage, my wife had never crossed any boundaries. Last year, when my mother fell ill and was hospitalized, my father and I happened to be overseas on a business trip, expanding into international markets. During that period, it was Penelope who handled everything at the hospital, taking care of my mother tirelessly. When we returned from the trip, it was also the first time my mother spoke well of her in front of me. She praised my judgment, saying I had found a good wife. Over the years, the Gonzalez family business had also grown larger and stronger under the protection of my Santos family. If it weren't for Penelope's recent abnormal behavior, I wouldn't have doubted her in the slightest. What if I said, "I want you to fire him"? Chapter 3. Penelope's body stiffened abruptly. She frowned, her tone turning noticeably colder. "Honey, why? Do you really trust me that little?" I continued to stroke her long hair, though my fingertips carried a trace of chill. "I'm joking. Look how nervous you got. Since he's capable, it's good to give young people more opportunities. But forget about being besties, you know my bottom line." Only then did Penelope let out a long sigh of relief. She rubbed against me in my arms. "Don't worry, honey, your wife knows her limits." "Oh, right." She suddenly seemed to remember something. "Aren't you going on a business trip next Wednesday? I might take him to meet a client. Young people need more real-world experience. I'm telling you in advance, don't overthink it." "Okay. All right, just mind your boundaries," I replied. I gently kissed her on the forehead. "Go to sleep." After her breathing gradually evened out, I got up, walked into the study, and called Manager Wang. "Send me that intern's file before work tomorrow." I paused. "And also, have someone closely monitor all of Gonzalez's movements. Every detail, no matter how small. I want it reported." "Understood, President Santos." After hanging up, I contacted a private investigator to keep tabs on Penelope's every move. Better safe than sorry. I have no interest in being cheated on. Staring at the pale moonlight outside the window, I felt no trace of sleepiness. After so many years together, I would definitely give her a chance. But if she truly crossed the line and touched my bottom line, I wouldn't mind stripping the Gonzalez family of everything and resetting them to square one. 3 days later, I wheeled my suitcase out the door. My wife, dressed in a light yellow floral dress, saw me off at the entrance. She clung to me, holding my face and kissing me repeatedly. "Honey, come back early from your trip. What if I miss you?" I gently pinched her cheek. "It's only a week. I'll be back soon." After much coaxing, I finally managed to get her to let go of me. "All right then, be careful on the road. Honey, call me when you arrive." She looked at me pitifully. After driving away from Penelope, I took out my phone and looked at the intern Emmanuel's photo, his features oddly similar to mine. The smile on my face slowly disappeared, playing the substitute trope. "Are we?" "Penelope, I hope you don't disappoint me." Chapter 4. On the first day of my business trip, Penelope bought Emmanuel a bespoke suit worth $300,000 and took him to meet a client. Photos from the private investigator arrived shortly after. In one of them, Penelope was personally adjusting Emmanuel's tie, the two standing extremely close, their posture intimate. The suit Emmanuel was wearing was from a custom brand I often wore myself. All these years, she had only ever tied a tie for me. On the second day of my trip, Manager Wang called. "President Santos, President Gonzalez credited yesterday's $20 million project entirely to Emmanuel." There was clear dissatisfaction in his voice. "I personally followed the project for 2 full months before closing it. That intern can't even understand contract clauses. Yesterday he just followed Gonzalez to sign the deal." I gently swirled the red wine in my glass. "And," I asked, "Gonzalez not only gave him the $200,000 project bonus, but also bought him a Patek Philippe worth over $1 million. It was charged to the company account, under the name of Project Rewards." I took a small sip of wine. "I understand." I hung up the phone and looked out the window. The night view of this island city was beautiful, but I knew this beauty wouldn't last long. It would completely vanish once dawn broke. Things that are too perfect are always the easiest to lose. On the third day of my trip, Penelope made an exception and promoted Emmanuel to her personal assistant. On the fourth day, the private investigator reported back. The two hadn't had much private contact in person. I sat on the sofa in the presidential suite, scrolling through the chat history between Penelope and Emmanuel. Before I left on my trip, I had installed monitoring software on her phone. I could synchronize and view all her messages in real time. The chat records from the past few days were fairly normal. Emmanuel sent daily messages checking in on her, asking if she was tired or cold. But today, something felt different. Emmanuel said, "Penelope, about what I mentioned before, wanting to be your male bestie in private. I wonder if I've passed your assessment yet." Penelope replied, "I'll count it as a pass. But don't go spreading it around. My husband is pretty petty. He'd get angry if he found out." Emmanuel replied, "That's great. Don't worry, Penelope. This is our little secret." Emmanuel continued, "Actually, I think a successful and outstanding beauty like Penelope should have someone by her side who really understands her. President Santos is so busy, he probably doesn't have much time to keep you company." Penelope replied, "You say that like you understand me very well." Emmanuel said, "Of course I do." Didn't Penelope say chatting with me feels relaxing? What a pity. If I had a girlfriend as wonderful and beautiful as Penelope, I wouldn't go anywhere. I'd stay by her side every day. Oh, sorry, Penelope, did I say too much? I just feel bad for Penelope. Don't overthink it." Penelope sent a laughing, Hand over mouth emoji. It's fine, you're just concerned about me. Don't be so nervous, I'm not going to eat you. Emmanuel replied. I knew Penelope treats me the best. To have a boss as amazing as Penelope, I'm really so lucky. I'll definitely work hard and repay Penelope properly. Watching the messages pop up on my phone in real time, my gaze grew colder. Over these past few days, their conversations had become increasingly heated, and the boundaries of their jokes were getting wider and wider. Chapter 5. I cut my business trip short by one day and rushed back to H-City. By the time I landed, it was already evening. I sat in the car as the driver glanced back at me. President Santos, shall we head home now? I shook my head slightly. Not home yet. Take me to Crown Club. I had already received word. Today was Penelope's best friend's birthday, and she had brought Emmanuel along. The car slowly came to a stop at the entrance of Crown Club. I didn't get out right away. Instead, I dialed Penelope's number. It rang for more than 10 seconds before she picked up. Honey, why are you calling all of a sudden? She asked. I replied calmly. Where are you right now? Today's Nova's birthday. I'm at her birthday party. Oh, is that so? Did you go by yourself? There was a brief pause on the other end of the line, her tone tightening slightly. Yes. You're on a business trip, and I didn't have anyone to keep me company. Don't drink too much. Head back early once it's over. On the phone, she clearly let out a sigh of relief. Got it. Honey, I'll go pick you up at the airport tomorrow. All right. I hung up, my expression dark and unreadable. President Santos, do you need me to go in with you? The driver asked cautiously. I straightened my suit and replied flatly. No, wait for me in the car. The moment I stepped into the Crown lobby, the front desk manager hurried over. President Santos, what brings you here? Would you like me to arrange? Without looking at him, I continued walking. Which private room is Gonzalez in right now? In the Phoenix Hall, the manager answered nervously. Do you need me to notify President Gonzalez? No need. I headed straight to the second floor, stopping outside the Phoenix Hall private room. The door wasn't fully closed, leaving a gap just wide enough to see inside if you stood by it. Inside the entire room, Emmanuel was the only man, sitting right next to Penelope. He wore a white shirt with his sleeves rolled up, revealing the newly bought Patek Philippe on his wrist. His face was flushed, clearly having been plied with quite a bit of alcohol by Penelope's friends. Nova, dressed in a red gown, shot Penelope a suggestive look. Penelope, your little assistant is really thoughtful. He even came with you to my birthday party. How about lending him to me for a couple of days? Penelope immediately became alert. What nonsense are you talking about? Emmanuel is still an intern. I'm warning you, don't set your sights on him. Nova's smile only grew wider. She bumped Penelope lightly with her shoulder. Oh, you're already protecting him. Penelope, you're something else. Chapter 6. Emmanuel chose the right moment to hand over a glass of milk. Penelope, you've had quite a bit to drink too. Maybe have some milk to sober up a little. Wow, so considerate. One slightly chubby woman exclaimed. Penelope, this is way better than your President Santos. That man always looks so cold and distant. How could he be as attentive as Emmanuel? Emmanuel smiled shyly. Please don't tease Penelope. This is just what I should do as a small assistant. Penelope takes great care of me at work. Whatever she asks me to do, I'm willing. Hearing this, Penelope's girlfriends exchanged glances. Their smiles grew increasingly suggestive. Who couldn't hear the implication in Emmanuel's words? Nova suddenly leaned close to Penelope, lowering her voice, but still loud enough for everyone to hear. Penelope, seriously, President Santos is so busy. How could he have that much time to accompany you? Your little assistant is handsome and attentive. Ever thought about it? If you don't want him, I'll take him. A faint blush spread across Penelope's cheeks. She pushed Nova lightly, half complaining, half embarrassed. Hey, stop talking nonsense. The smugness in Emmanuel's eyes was impossible to hide. Penelope, don't be upset. I know everyone's just joking. Sister Nova, come on, I'll drink a few more with you. Emmanuel downed 3 more glasses in a row. His body swayed, and he leaned straight against Penelope, his arm instinctively wrapped around her waist. Penelope hesitated for a moment, then didn't push him away. I took out my phone and clicked, capturing the scene. The moment I pushed the door open with my phone in hand, everyone in the room widened their eyes. Penelope shoved Emmanuel away as if shocked by electricity. Honey, why are you back? I swept my gaze across the room and raised the phone, showing the intimate photo of Penelope and Emmanuel. What a perfect match. Handsome, attentive, a real boy toy. I said coldly. Tell me, shouldn't I just do you all a favor and complete this cheating pair? Penelope's friend stared at me in disbelief, not daring to breathe. Half drunk, Penelope sobered up instantly and jumped to her feet. Honey, you misunderstood. It's not what you think. Seeing Penelope wronged, Emmanuel immediately flew into a rage. He shot to his feet and blocked her behind him. glaring at me defiantly. You're Penelope's husband. You can insult me if you want, but how can you insult Penelope? Do you have any idea how exhausting it is for Penelope to manage such a huge company every day? Can't you let Penelope Gonzalez worry a little less? Let Gonzalez worry less. I stepped forward, eyes narrowing, my gaze passing over Emmanuel and locking directly onto Penelope. So now, it's a lowly assistant's turn to teach me how to be your husband, is that it? The moment Penelope saw my eyes, she knew I was truly furious. She panicked and rushed over, trying to grab me. Honey, I'm wrong. Please don't act rashly. Emmanuel didn't mean it. I grabbed a wine bottle off the table and smashed it straight down onto Emmanuel's head. Who the hell do you think you are, daring to lecture me? Bang. Glass shattered, alcohol and shards flew everywhere. Yellow liquor mixed with blood streaming down from Emmanuel's head. Chapter 7. Screams erupted throughout the private room as everyone kept retreating backward. Honey, have you lost your mind? Penelope rushed over to hug me, but I flung her away with one hand. Emmanuel glared at me with venom in his eyes. He struggled to get up, only for me to kick him flying. I strode over, grabbed his tie, and yanked him up. Then I slapped his pale face over and over again. Smack, smack, smack. Emmanuel was finally terrified, crying and begging nonstop. President Santos, I was wrong. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have provoked you. Please let me go. I'll never dare again. Nova finally snapped out of it and hurried over to pull at me, trying to smooth things over. President Santos, you really misunderstood. Today is my birthday, please. Just give me some face, all right? I slapped her across the face. Who the hell do you think you are? Why should I give you any face? The entire room fell into dead silence. Nova covered her face, standing there in a daze, staring at me in disbelief. Penelope finally exploded with anger. Her face flushed bright red. Skylar Santos, that's enough. Have you completely lost your mind? Emmanuel was just drunk earlier and accidentally leaned on me. There's nothing between us. We're completely innocent. How long are you going to keep making a scene? Innocent. I backhanded Penelope across the face. Innocent. Then why did you lie to me, saying you came alone to your best friend's birthday? He's just an intern. What ability does he have for you to value him so much? Promote him straight to executive assistant. Manager Wong worked on that project for 2 months. You just took this pretty boy to sign a contract, and suddenly all the credit belongs to him. You give him bonuses, and that's not enough. You even buy him a $1 million watch. Chatting flirtatiously with this pretty boy in the dead of night, and you dare tell me you're innocent? Penelope covered her face. Tears welled in her eyes, but she stubbornly lifted her chin. So, you've been monitoring me all this time. Her voice trembled uncontrollably. Skylar, when did you become so unfamiliar, so terrifying? Chapter 8. Terrifying. I sneered at her. Compared to you flirting behind my back with some pretty boy, investigating the truth between you is what you call terrifying. Nova covered her face and muttered from the side. President Santos, you really overthought it. Everyone was just joking earlier. Shut up. I turned and pointed straight at her nose, shouting harshly, this is not your place to speak. The entire room fell into instant silence. Everyone was cowed by my presence. Emmanuel still refused to back down. President Santos, don't make things hard for Penelope. If there's a problem, come at me. I laughed immediately. Such an excessive request, I'd be happy to grant it. I walked over and started kicking him again. One kick after another. Young as he was and physically fit, after more than a dozen kicks, he couldn't take it anymore. He spat out a large mouthful of blood with a retch. Stop, honey, stop hitting him. I was wrong. I really was wrong. Please stop, honey. If you don't stop, I'm calling the police. I kicked him another 5 or 6 times before finally stopping. I scanned the room and let out a cold laugh. Fine, call the police. Right. Sure, let me make this clear today. Call the police, I'll at most pay some compensation. But everyone here, every single one of you, I'll make sure all your families go bankrupt. Just wait for it. The Santos Group is the leading corporation in H City. Among these spoiled rich kids, aside from the Gonzalez family, which had developed decently over the past few years only because of me, none of their family businesses were worth mentioning. Making those small companies go bankrupt would take no more than a few phone calls. In the past, out of consideration for Penelope, I'd treated them politely. Did they really think I cared about them? As soon as I said this, they finally realized exactly who they had provoked. Panic spread instantly. Faces turned pale. Legs went weak. President Santos, we were wrong. This has nothing to do with us. Yes, President Santos, we're innocent. President Santos, we can testify for you. You didn't hit him. Emmanuel fell on his own. He brought it on himself. President Santos, if you're still not satisfied, we'll hit him for you. Please rest. Exactly. How could we let you dirty your hands with this? We'll handle it. Seeing that I neither agreed nor objected, they exchanged glances and rushed forward together, taking turns slapping Emmanuel across the face. Smack, smack, smack. The blows were ruthless. The entire private room echoed with slaps and Emmanuel's screams. Penelope stood there completely stunned. She never imagined that simply bringing a small assistant to a best friend's birthday would end like this. She wanted to rush over and stop it, but didn't dare. She could only stand there in a daze. I didn't spare her another glance and turned to leave, the moment the private room door closed. Penelope finally collapsed to the floor, breaking down in sobs. Chapter 9. I sat in the back seat of the car and closed my eyes. Drive. Go home. It was almost midnight when Penelope finally returned. Her eyes were swollen and red. When she saw me sitting on the sofa, her gaze turned complicated. Honey, can we talk? I tossed the divorce agreement my lawyer had prepared in advance onto the coffee table. There's nothing to talk about. Divorce. Penelope stared at the agreement as if struck by lightning. She staggered a few steps and almost fell. No, honey, I don't want a divorce. I was wrong. I really was wrong. She rushed over and hugged my legs, tears falling in large drops. I know I was wrong. Honey, I really didn't do anything to betray you. Please, give me one more chance. Okay. I grabbed her chin hard. Her cheeks were swollen, tears streaming down her face. Give you a chance? Did you forget how you were about to call the police at Crown Club to protect your precious little boy toy? Her whole body stiffened, and she shook her head frantically. No, honey, that's not it. I was afraid you'd hit too hard and things would get out of control. Honey, there's really nothing between him and me. I'll never see him again. I'll fire him tomorrow. As she spoke, she leaned in to kiss me. I kicked her away. Penelope, are you shameless? At the beginning, I told you to fire him. You refused. Now that things have blown up like this, you come begging me. I'll give you one day to pack your things and get out of the Santos house. Otherwise, I'll treat you like trash and dispose of you myself. Figure it out. With that, I ignored her completely and went to the bedroom to sleep. All night long, suppressed sobbing echoed from the living room. The next morning, Penelope had prepared a lavish breakfast early. Freshly baked Danish pastries, foie gras with eggs, bird's nest porridge. Honey, breakfast is ready. Come eat. I only glanced at it briefly, then turned to Butler Wong. Butler Wong, have these remade? Yes, young master. Chapter 10. Penelope collapsed into the chair, tears falling again. Honey, do you really hate me that much? You used to love the breakfasts I made with my own hands. Now you won't even look at them. I sneered at her. Penelope, do you know your cooking is terrible? Yes, before, I loved you. No matter how bad it tasted, I could swallow it. But now we're getting divorced. Why should I keep wronging myself? I used to hate this kind of plot the most when reading novels. Stuff like once you eat your wife's cooking, you'll never be able to eat anyone else's again. Isn't that just brain damage? Do these people never eat out? Even if they don't go to restaurants, rich girls or wealthy wives who never touch housework, how good could their cooking possibly be? Could it compare to a professional nanny or chef? Penelope's face instantly turned pale, as if she'd been slapped hard. Terrible. She murmured repeatedly. How could it be terrible? Clearly before. Now. I glanced at my watch. You have 16 hours left to pack your personal belongings. Do you need me to have the bodyguards help you? And sign the divorce agreement as soon as possible. Otherwise, I have plenty of ways to force you to sign. Penelope looked at me pleadingly. Honey, no, don't. We're not divorcing. Don't abandon me. You said before you'd love me for a lifetime. Butler Wong brought over a cup of hot milk. I took a sip and set it down unhurriedly. Not divorcing. Then wouldn't I have to stay on guard all the time, waiting for you to put a cheating crown on my head? All the color drained from Penelope's face. She stumbled backward, barely managing to steady herself by holding the edge of the table. Skylar, is this really how you see me in your heart? She clenched her teeth, her voice trembling violently. Then what else? I picked up the newly served foie gras and egg and took a bite. During this time, haven't you personally proven it to me? Her mouth opened slightly, but she couldn't say a single word in rebuttal. Only tears kept dripping down. I finished the Danish pastry, drank the milk in one go, and wiped my hands. Penelope, stop struggling uselessly. We've been together for so many years, you know me. Once I, Skylar Santos, make a decision, even my parents can't change it. So why do you think you can? Pack your things, sign the divorce agreement, and let's part cleanly. With that, I didn't look at her again and left the house with my bodyguards. Chapter 11. In the period that followed, Penelope Gonzalez moved out, yet still refused to sign the divorce agreement. Left with no other choice, I turned my attention to the Gonzalez Group. After Manager Wong's bonus was reissued, I recalled him back to take a position at the Santos Group. 60% of the Gonzalez Group's business had always come from the Santos Group. once the Santos Group publicly announced the termination of all cooperation with Gonzalez. The Gonzalez Group stock began to plummet day after day. Other companies that had partnerships with the Santos Group quickly followed suit, canceling their cooperation with Gonzalez at the first opportunity. The Gonzalez Group was thrown into chaos, buffeted by storms, with panic spreading everywhere. As for that pretty boy Emmanuel, I had every detail of his background thoroughly investigated. Back in college, he had been kept by wealthy older women multiple times. After Penelope forced him to return the gifts and kicked him out of the company, he simply went back to his old ways. It didn't take long before another rich woman took him in. I happened to know that woman's husband, a nearly 60-year-old man named Juan. I had people send Juan the obscene photos we'd taken, and privately taught him a little trick. Juan flew into a rage and quickly carried out his revenge. Following my suggestion, he replaced the lubricant at home with industrial-strength glue. Juan pretended to go on a business trip, but in reality, he lay in wait nearby with his bodyguards. Sure enough, on the very day Juan left, his wife brought Emmanuel straight into the house. Less than half an hour later, ghostly screams echoed from inside. Juan stormed in with his men, confiscated their phones immediately, and trapped the cheating pair on the bed for a full day and night before sending them to the hospital. Doctors rushed them into emergency surgery. Juan's wife fared relatively well, just a lot looser than before. Emmanuel, however, was not so lucky. After a full day and night of severe congestion, necrosis had already begun to set in. With everything glued together beyond separation, the only option left was surgical removal. Photos and videos of Emmanuel being literally stuck together with the older woman somehow, accidentally, got uploaded online by one of the bodyguards. Overnight, they spread like wildfire through group chats, social feeds, and timelines. The entire internet exploded. Emmanuel had been a campus heartthrob in college, already fairly well known. Coupled with his striking looks, his social media accounts had amassed over 100,000 followers. Before long, netizens dug up every detail of his past. Scrolling through my phone, I saw every major platform in total chaos. Shocking scandal. University campus heartthrob Emmanuel caught in bed with a sugar mommy by her husband. Industrial glue causes lower body necrosis. Forced removal. This absurd headline shot straight to the trending charts. Emmanuel became infamous overnight. Opening the comments section, all kinds of dirt poured out. Oh my God, isn't this that so-called Prince Charming from University? Turns out he was living off rich women. Totally agree. No wonder he wore designer brands back in college. Everyone thought he was a rich kid. Turns out he was just a kept man. Even someone that old wasn't off limits. Dude's tastes are wild. Serves him right. Pretty boys who climb the ladder with their faces and knowingly become the third will always get their karma. Isn't this the Cruz family's precious son? Always bragging to us old neighbors about being an elite student from a top university. Bah. Disgusting. Reading those comments, I couldn't help but shake my head and sigh. The pretty boy had just graduated from college, his youth and future ruined like this, truly reaping what he sowed. That very night, I took a few trusted confidants out to a bar. We drank heavily and celebrated properly. Chapter 12. During this period of time, Penelope bombarded me with dozens of calls every single day. I didn't answer a single one. Security at both the company and the Santos family villa had long since been instructed. Penelope couldn't get in at all. All she could do was wait downstairs at my company every day, rain or shine, without fail. That day, it was pouring rain, and she was still standing downstairs, unmoving. My assistant knocked and came in. President Santos, it's raining heavily outside. President Gonzalez is still standing downstairs. I flipped through the documents without even looking up. What? Feeling sorry for her? Why don't you go stand with her? The assistant's face turned pale instantly. He lowered his head at once. I wouldn't dare. President Santos, I just thought, if something happens to Gonzalez in front of our company, it might affect the company's image. Only then did I impatiently put the documents down. All right, I get it. You can leave. The assistant bowed quickly and withdrew. I called security and had Penelope brought into the lobby downstairs. The moment I stepped out of the elevator, Penelope rushed over and dropped to her knees with a thud. Honey, I know I was wrong. Please don't divorce me. Okay. Please save my Gonzalez family. Honey, I really know I was wrong. I'll never dare again. She reached out to grab me, but I flung her hand away. I tossed the divorce agreement and a pen onto the floor. Sign it, Penelope Gonzalez. I don't want to waste words on you. If you sign now, the Gonzalez group will only be knocked back to what it was 3 years ago. If you keep clinging on, then I'll have no choice but to bankrupt your entire family. Oh, and you've probably seen Emmanuel's recent news, haven't you? This is your last chance. Leave with nothing. Sign it and go. Otherwise, I'll post your chat logs and photos with Emmanuel online for everyone to see. Your mother is a university professor. She cares most about reputation. Perfect timing. Let her see exactly what kind of daughter she personally raised. Penelope's face turned deathly pale. Her body went limp as she collapsed onto the floor. Rainwater dripped continuously from her hair. Skylar, how can you treat me like this? Her voice trembled uncontrollably. Skylar, my mother isn't in good health. You can't do this. You can't do this to my mother. Oh, now you know how to think about your mother. I looked at her coldly. Then when you were flirting and getting cozy with Emmanuel, why didn't you think about your family? Penelope bit her lip hard, blood seeping out from between her lips. Well, I frowned and glanced at my watch. Are you signing or not? I'll give you 2 minutes to decide. Chapter 13. She knelt on the marble floor, her shoulders trembling uncontrollably. She suddenly lifted her head to look at me and finally asked the question that had been buried in her heart. Was what happened to Emmanuel your doing? I nodded, not denying it. Yes, it was me. And if you don't sign, I have plenty of ways to deal with you too. Hearing this, Penelope couldn't help but shudder. She didn't dare hesitate any longer. Gritting her teeth, she finally signed the divorce agreement. If you'd signed earlier, wouldn't that have been better? I said calmly as I put the papers away. Remember this, starting today, we're completely even. And don't you ever come bothering me again. She looked up at me through tear-filled eyes. Skylar, these past years, did you ever? I interrupted her coldly. I loved you. After saying those last words, I didn't look at her again and turned to step into the elevator. Behind me came her heart-wrenching sobs. After work, just as I was about to get into the car, Emmanuel suddenly sprang out from behind a pillar. The 4 bodyguards behind me immediately pinned him to the ground. Skylar, Juan's almost 60, there's no way he's got that kind of scheme in him. Tell me, was it you behind everything? Sometimes, a man's intuition really is frighteningly accurate. Back then, Penelope was only slightly off, and I immediately sensed something was wrong. I had given her a chance. She simply didn't know how to cherish it. After Emmanuel's incident, the very first person he suspected was me. All I can say is, damn accurate. I smiled, looking down at him from above. Yes, that's right, it was me. So what are you gonna do about it? Go ahead, sue me. Do you have any evidence? Careful, or I'll sue you for defamation. Of course, you can also try to get revenge on me privately. Bring it on. Let's see who destroys whom. I couldn't be bothered to look at him any longer. The driver hurriedly opened the door, and I slid into the car. Emmanuel was still pinned to the ground by the bodyguards, staring at me with bloodshot eyes. Ah, Skylar, you bastard, you won't die well. I rolled the window down and looked at him with mock pity. Emmanuel, being Penelope's male bestie is no longer an option for you. But you could still be a female bestie. Think about it. Emmanuel went completely berserk. He struggled violently, veins bulging from his forehead. Ah, Skylar, you deserve to die, even as a ghost. I won't let you go. I gave a calm order to the bodyguards. Beat him. They immediately understood and began a brutal beating. I rolled the window back up, closed my eyes slightly, and said to the driver, drive. In the rearview mirror, Emmanuel's curled-up figure on the ground grew smaller and smaller, until it finally disappeared. President Santos, should we handle this more thoroughly? The bodyguard captain in the front passenger seat asked, turning back. No need, I replied flatly. He's already a useless cripple. Let him be, he won't be stirring up any storms. Chapter 14. Recently, I met an interesting fellow in the business world. He's not very old, but his outlook is surprisingly broad. According to his theory, future families will be diverse. There's no need to be trapped in marriage. You can stay single, cohabit with the same sex, cohabit with the opposite sex, or choose a traditional marriage, and if you're rich enough, you can obviously run multiple tracks at the same time. I found his words damn convincing. If you're rich, why bother wasting emotional energy on relationships? Isn't focusing on making money far more satisfying? As for raising an heir, does it really matter who gives birth? The very next day, I accepted the advances of a newly arrived female college intern, a bona fide long-legged campus belle. Of course, a monthly allowance is a must. Have a child, there's a bonus. On top of that, an extra apartment as a reward. Worst case, just find a few more. As for that useless Emmanuel, classic bully the weak, fear the strong, he didn't dare come after me. So instead he took revenge on Penelope. When my assistant told me about it, I almost laughed myself to death. He stabbed Penelope, apparently pierced her uterus. Penelope won't be able to have children for the rest of her life. What's even more ridiculous? That useless piece of trash was counter-killed by the severely injured Penelope. All I can say is, absolutely brilliant.